Should I, 22M, bring up these concerns to my 25F girlfriend? Not sure if this is the place, but I kinda just wanted to vent anonymously and get some advice on whether or not I should bring this up, and if so how. It's a bit detailed, so viewer discretion is advised, I guess. Too long didn't read. At the very end. Edit, to clarify, she is fully aware of my medical history and knows about the results of my most recent biopsy. /update/. Not sure if this post is still visible or if anyone follows, but if anyone does, I wanted to update that we did talk about the situation, and she more or less said my situation won't change her stance on anything. Thanks again to everyone for all the support and words of encouragement. I've been dating my childhood friend for a little over a year now, and honestly I've never been happier. We know each other pretty well, so aside from little things here and there, things have been going pretty great, I would say. However, sometimes I feel like it's not fair for her to be in a relationship with me. Some years ago, before dating, I was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer and had to spend some time receiving treatments, etc. For one thing, I was told that the treatments could make me sterile and unable to have children, so they recommended I freeze sperm before starting. To which I declined because I essentially didn't want to accept that possibility and was ultimately too stubborn to make the right choice. One of my girlfriend's biggest goals in life is to have children. Although both of us, regardless of my specific situation, have agreed that we would like to adopt one day, we also both are adamant about having a biological child. So although I have never tested after finishing treatments, the possibility that I am unable to all because I was too stubborn when I was younger eats away at me from time to time. Anyway, fast forward to present day. For those who don't know, whenever someone completes cancer treatments, they continue to take tests over the course of some years in case of reoccurrence. Yesterday I received results that I have indeed tested positive for more tumors, but in a different area now. Although from what I've researched online, there doesn't seem to be very detailed assessments close enough to my specific circumstances. What I have found pretty much says that survival rates are pretty low. So in addition to a very real possibility I am, or will become, unable to have children, there is also a very real possibility I will either die or have to constantly be receiving treatments and not be able to live an independent life. This brings me to my question. As I said, I feel like it is unfair to my girlfriend to date someone who not only has a low chance of living more than 5 or 10 years, but also probably won't be able to fulfill one of her lifelong goals. I'm positive she's never thought the same thing, so even if I did bring it up, she may just get upset or frustrated at me for thinking that way in the first place. However, I don't want to limit her or keep her or cause her more grief than necessary. Should I bring up these concerns to her? And if I should, what would be a good way to do it? Or am I just overthinking things and spiraling out? Anyway, if you read all this, even if you don't respond, thanks. Too long didn't read. I have cancer again and therefore may be unable to have children or survive for more than a few years. I don't want to cause more pain to my girlfriend than necessary. Should I bring this up? And if so, how? I, 35F, am very much in your situation. I am in my second battle with reoccurring cancer, and am at the point there are no more treatment options left. Long story short, I met my now husband, 28 meters, 1 month before being diagnosed this time around. He knew the whole time I will die within 5 to 10 years. He convinced me to marry him exactly 1 year after. He wants kids. I will not be able to give him any. He does not care, and says it is not my choice to make for him. Also, I don't want to do this without him. He is the person of my dreams. I feel guilty every day for my curse to him, but I can't do anything about it. If I were you, I would stay with her, and love her enough to last a lifetime. I'm sorry to hear that. However, I do appreciate hearing from someone in such a similar situation. Sounds like you have an amazing partner, and I hope we both learn to not feel guilty for letting people into our lives. And I also hope we both prove the odds wrong and are able to get past it. Thank you for the advice. I'll try to take you up on it. If you don't mind, can I DM you about it? I wanted to talk a bit more, but if you're not comfortable, I absolutely understand. You should get counseling and read. Maybe you should talk to someone. The book with the character named Julie has cancer, and I think you might get some insights on how to deal with your situation. I hope for the best and good luck to you. If she knows all the facts, she's making an informed decision as an adult to stay with you, and I'm sorry you feel as though that means you're holding her back somehow. She's unaware of certain elements of the situation though. It might be worthwhile to seek support to help you have that chat. Of course she doesn't need to know everything about your life, but she does need to know the parts that affect her. Again, once she's informed, her decision is down to her, and she's adult enough to make that judgment for herself. Hey, I'm 26 and in remission from cancer, so I get your feelings about not wanting to limit someone else. A cancer friend of mine, my age, just found out yesterday her cancer is back and she's terminal. A boyfriend proposed and they want to get married ASAP. He wants to stick around for all of it. He is completely aware there will be devastating heartbreak at the end of this road, but he is in love with her, and to him, the time together and being there for her is more than worth the eventual pain. Your girlfriend has to make the decision. I get your guilt, but if she wants to support and be by your side, let her. If she doesn't think she can deal with it and this isn't how she wants to spend her future, she will have to make that decision too. All you can do is be upfront with her, but don't put words in her mouth. Also, not sure if you already do, but recommend following the cancer patient on Insta. It's a great support network. Best wishes. I'm really sorry to hear of your recurrence and prognosis. My M31 wife, F31, is a pathological liar, plus other issues. Is this just a dead end? Hi all. Sorry this is a bit long, because I want to give a good sense of our issues. And these issues have recurred throughout our relationship since we first got together when we were college students. It's a bit of a mess. I'm at such a loss to even know how to feel at this point. I would just love to hear what anyone thinks about the situation, and I'd be grateful for any supportive comments either way. The main problem we're now dealing with, to be fair, among many others, is that my wife is totally untrustworthy. She lies about lots of things, and it could be anything, small or large. She's lied about what she ate for lunch, she's hidden entire friendships from me, and everything in between. It's always totally bizarre because these are not even things I would or could have an issue with, except for a few of the bigger ones. This all blew up a few weeks ago because she was revealed to have been secretly going out with friends throughout the pandemic. I've been at home in the apartment for almost a full year, and we agreed that except for absolute necessities and, for her, work, I have been able to work from home. Thank goodness, we would be as safe as possible and stay home and isolate. On several occasions, she's told me she was working when really she's been out to eat, indoors, with friends/colleagues, or visiting them in their apartments, which was number one on our list of stuff not to do right now. I've foregone seeing my family except when my brother passed away over the summer, and all I did was go up to a cabin with my dad after total isolation so we could grieve a bit together, and haven't seen my friends at all. But apparently going to work and seeing her work colleagues hasn't been enough socializing, and, though she's been criticizing their lax behavior to me privately, secretly she's been participating herself and systematically hiding it from me and lying about it. She makes me feel like I have no idea who she really is at any time. This was the tip of an iceberg, as it always is. You will probably not be too surprised to hear that I never learn anything like this from her that was not somehow proven to me/by me first. Never in our entire relationship has there been a single time that I've gotten the full truth from her about something that could cause any upset or conflict. It's always pulling teeth to get nothing, and I always find out more over time, usually by accident, after she's promised that there's nothing else to know. So, after I found out about her secretly going out during the pandemic, I was going through our bank accounts and found that she has been spending hundreds of dollars on an app on her phone. We'd had that problem a few years ago, and she promised she had it taken care of and wouldn't let that happen again. Lately she's been so plugged into her phone, I've even been asking if she's having that issue again, and of course she said she wasn't spending any money on games on her phone. But it's actually been about 4 months of putting money into apps on her phone while telling me she wasn't. She's also been expressing a concern about our finances and has been asking me to shift money from my accounts to her checking account so she can break even, and she's told me she simply has no idea where her money's been going for the past few months. Because we've had trust issues in the past, I really don't want to give into paranoia and become the spouse that's always keeping tabs on their partner, so I don't normally even look into her spending. Trust her to manage her side of our finances. The week following this was a miserable time of her promising me she felt horrible and just couldn't bring herself to tell me these things, while insisting that there were nothing else she was lying about or hiding from me. Every time, I'd give her my trust again, because I always want to know that I did my best for this relationship no matter what happens on her end, and then within a day find some new hidden disaster. This happened several times. For example, for each time she went out during the pandemic, I had to learn about it independently. She never just told me about all the occasions. For all I know, there are still more I just don't know about. I can't go into all of it, but the gist of the other big one is that someone has apparently been sending her and one of her colleagues letters suggesting that they start a romantic relationship. I had no idea. Now, my common sense tells me, given how the one I saw was written and what sorts of things it said, that they were written by my wife or this colleague, most likely my wife. It sounds immature, I know, but the letters read like they were written by someone crushing on someone else and pretending they're a third party. It was very high school. The letter identified her using private information I thought only she and I would know, except maybe her mother or sister. These were deeply personal things about the music we fell in love with and some traumatic events in our pasts. For example, her story is that she figured it was just some psycho stalker person who wanted to break us up. Sound plausible? And she didn't want me to worry, so she threw her letter away and didn't tell me about any of them. This colleague is also someone I'd, completely independently, thought was giving off some fishy vibes and crossing boundaries over the past year or two, and I know that my wife is highly drawn to a dynamic where she crosses boundaries and creates drama with her friends. I was in denial about this for a long time, but it's happened too frequently to deny at this point. I'm always in the dark about this until it blows up in our faces, and given the pandemic, it's just impossible to know what has really been happening. I have no idea if she's been saying, "Oh, my husband is just crazy, I'm not going to stop hanging out with you guys," or even if she's expressed so much dissatisfaction with me or affection for someone else that someone could genuinely have gotten the impression that she wants to be with this colleague, or that something more is actually happening between them. The hard truth is, I simply wouldn't know. But, still, I've spent 2 weeks now trying to work on our marriage and, once again, trying my best to give her my trust. I accepted that she is happy in our marriage and is not interested in this colleague, and that she did not write the letters and has no idea why someone would have or how they got all the personal information. I've also spent a lot of time trying to talk with her about why these things are so devastating and how hard it would be to be with her if I felt I couldn't trust her. She's been very verbally reassuring for the most part, which is actually a change for her. It felt like maybe there was hope that we could rebuild on a stronger foundation. We had a good week or two and we were at least getting along around Valentine's Day. Then, this morning, she lied about having taken our dog outside. I won't get into the details, except to say that she told me that she had taken her outside so I wouldn't need to, and I happened to figure out that she couldn't have taken her outside. I know that's such an insane thing to even have to write. I kept telling her that I really didn't think she had, because the dog was acting like she had to go outside, and she insisted. I even began to doubt myself, but I took the dog outside again anyway because she was begging to go. If I had listened to my wife, it would have been hours of my dog needing to go out and me thinking she didn't need to. Tonight as we were getting ready for bed, I said, "You know, I still think you didn't walk her this morning," which I felt awful for, honestly, because it felt like I was wrong to be telling her I was doubting her given our difficult situation, and she just laughed and gave me a sinister smile. Then the pretense was over and a minute later she admitted she was lying to me all day. She said she felt awful, but she kept doubling down on the lie all day. As usual, as soon as this became an issue, she simply dipped out and went to sleep. If I really struggle to convey that something is important or I'm upset, she might tag on a sorry or we'll talk tomorrow, but the next day she acts like nothing's wrong and gets mad if I expect to discuss whatever the issue was the night before. So, I'm here on Reddit while my wife is asleep, just completely at a loss as to how to continue. I've put my heart on the line so many times. She doesn't seem to think anything is, ever, seriously wrong. And I'm really only giving the bare minimum story here, because I'm focused on these recent trust issues. But they go much deeper, and this is not the first episode like this in our relationship. These are the kind of episodes that have made me think one day, someone we knew from those days is going to write me a letter and get off their chest what was really going on with my wife. I can't tell you how sad I am to be writing that down and admitting that to myself. In fairness to her, she had controlling and abusive parents who would try to control things like who she was friends with and what her interests were. And she learned to hide things from them and to be very afraid of conflict. So I try my best to be accepting and understanding when her first instinct is to hide something from me, or when she tends towards creating needless drama with her friends. I try to remind her that I'm nothing like her parents, lol. But it's not like I expect her to just be able to rid herself of those habits and tendencies. I think she still projects a lot of stuff onto me that she associated with her parents. I don't react strongly when she tells me upsetting things because I want her to feel very safe telling me anything so that she might not lie or hide things as much. But I have a very hard time with her hiding things from me or outright lying to me. Often, these lies involve complete alternative accounts of her days or her thoughts, and it can be extremely unnerving. When the lies come out, I feel like I don't know who she is, and I often feel truly frightened by that. I love her so much. I've never doubted that in some real sense we're meant to be together. Personality-wise, we're extremely compatible. We really enjoy each other's company. We have so much in common and we treasure what's not. We enjoy spending time the same ways. But even in these tough periods, for me, when everything seems to be on the line, she can still be extremely cruel, cold, and dismissive. It always feels like I'm putting in 1000% and she's putting in 1% effort, and yet she feels like I'm expecting too much of her and blows up at me for just trying to talk about these kinds of issues so we can get better. Multiple times during these recent weeks, when I discovered a new lie, she blew up with "I don't want to be with you anymore," which broke my heart but felt like such a relief because it felt real. But then she'd spend the rest of the day walking it back and apologizing. I know she does have genuine problems with her mood, as well as with her memory and attention. It just feels like maybe I lost my wife a long time ago or never even knew who she really is, if there even is such a thing. Even if her heart is still in it and she's just being thrown around by her own personal issues, she's still broken my heart over and over again over the past few weeks. And, as I said, this has happened before. Usually, it centers around her finding a new female friend group, which I usually know but am not really friends with myself, which has happened often because we have moved a bunch for school and work. The impression I get after she's spent while bonding with these new friends is that there is a shocking counter-narrative about our relationship happening with her friends that I'm totally in the dark about. The first time this happened to us, this was revealed to me after a couple of years of feeling like I was losing my mind because I could tell something was very wrong, but I just chalked it up at the time to our being long distance. She always assures me I'm just paranoid, etc., until I find out that she has been painting our relationship in a bad light but telling me everything's fine and there's nothing to worry about. This has gone from inventing conflicts that we never actually had, which I imagine is happening currently about how to manage the pandemic, to referring to me primarily as husband, instead of using my name, or, back in the day, telling her friends not to use the word fiancé for me. That one was just a few days after I proposed. She said yes and we were happy, but then the next day she broke down crying and went to see her friends alone, with no explanation, and for years has just said yeah I guess I'm crazy haha, as if there was no rhyme or reason for her to do that. After seeing her friends, she seemed happy again. At the time, it just seemed completely bizarre and inexplicable, and she hasn't given me any sort of account of even how she was feeling. Now, obviously we do have issues in our relationship, but she definitely gets off on having me think we're doing okay while she's secretly doing something that seems likely to be destructive. I mean gets off in every sense here. One way I can tell when she's been doing this sort of thing is that her libido shoots way up, as it has over the past few months. She'll wreak havoc on our relationship in a public way and then jump on me as soon as we get home. I know some people would conclude that she's been unfaithful or at least wants to end the marriage, but I have no real evidence that she's actually cheated, aside from a decade of getting that impression from all these lies and weird vibes and everything, and I don't want to be that paranoid spouse. I want to trust her. She's always been adamant that she's never been unfaithful and never wanted out of the marriage, except for those couple of blow-ups recently in the midst of my discovering more of the lies on top of lies. Her general explanation is that she has these psychological issues and does these things without realizing what she's doing until it's too late, that she's petrified of conflict with me, that she doesn't know how she comes across with her friends, and that she gives them the impression she loathes our relationship, until we discuss it well after it's too late to salvage a healthy situation. I'm always supposed to just say oh, okay and move on. I really don't know how to do that now. I would really love any feedback or insights. I know it sounds really bad in a lot of ways, but in some ways it's not a lot to go in because I'm alluding to so much else and you never really know what's going on inside someone else's relationship. We're just so happy, or so I think most of the time. We've been together since college. We've had amazing times together. We have a dog together that neither of us could live without. But I can't keep going through life with someone I can't trust and who, at best, is always engaging in such intensely self-sabotaging behavior that I'm constantly suffering to, and our marriage is often hanging by a thread. Does this just seem over to you? Has anyone dealt with situations like this, where it seemed like there was no way to trust your partner anymore? Did you find any way to actually get someone to be more trustworthy? Could you get trust back? It's basically like the recovery people seem to go through after infidelity, except that she just never acts like she's on that path, and I never really know 100% what's been going on in the part of my life that includes her. I want to be as good a person and as good a partner as I can be, but I'm really struggling at this point to keep putting myself through this. I know some people will recommend couples counseling, but to be honest, I'm pretty terrified of what will happen if we try that. I'm now really bad at emotionally handling situations with other people where her narratives start to collide. I'm afraid of looking crazy if that happens, and it is what happens when we try to discuss our issues with any third party. She's just yet another version of herself I barely recognize and will say things that shock and surprise me, and it's devastating and destabilizing to try to engage with her productively when that's happening and someone else is there to witness it all but is also clueless about what's really going on with her. I know even that might sound crazy. I've thought seriously about leaving a few times, but I usually end up too emotionally exhausted to really make it happen. I think I'm more depressed now than I've ever been, and that's really saying something after the past year. Part of why I end up so drained when I want to leave is that there was a time when I left and was so hurt and upset that I did just come back, and since then, if I even start to pack a bag, she starts mocking me and telling me I'll never leave until I'm literally too upset to continue. I know that's bad, and it's honestly embarrassing to write that out here. Any replies/support is really appreciated. Thank you. TL, Doctor. My wife has a long history of lying and hiding things, and it's gotten to the point that it puts our financial and physical well-being in jeopardy, and I'm at a loss for what else I could do or whether there's anywhere for us to go from here. I'm scared that she's just not capable of telling the truth about anything that could be an issue for us and might really just not want me to know who she really is, how she thinks and feels, even after all these years. Is there hope for gaining some sort of trust back? Is it just over at this point? I, 24F, am considering moving countries for my 26M, but want at least an engagement to do so. Thanks so much for your help. Honestly, I've read through all replies and they really helped me think about what I feel. I truly appreciate, and you've all helped me more than you know. I also had another talk with my BF, expressed what I need from him, etc. He agrees with me and thinks what I'm asking for is reasonable but isn't ready to commit, which is valid. We also agreed we want to have this conversation after he comes, since we haven't seen another in almost 2 months. So after he comes to see my country and we spend some time together, we'll decide our next move. Either breaking up or moving with a bigger commitment. I'll keep you updated on what happens in a few months. /____________________________________________________________________________________________________________________/:/// Hi everyone, I'm feeling a bit conflicted and would appreciate some advice. My boyfriend, 26M, and I, 24F, have been dating for almost 2 years. We met in the US but are both from different countries. Our relationship overall has been positive. He is a great person and I can see myself spending my life with him. Although we are far from perfect, his lack of career bothers me, and I can be difficult. It has been by far my happiest relationship. However, since the start of COVID, I have spent a significant amount of time in my home country. I met him just as I was finishing college in the US, but during the year I worked there I came to conclusion I can't really see myself living there permanently, at least not in the city we were in. My dad also had cancer this year, and since I could work from home I decided to stay and support my family. We spent a good amount of time together during 2020 since I went back to the US to be with him for 5 months. Obviously, this situation isn't sustainable and the long distance is hard. He is coming to visit me in a few weeks and will stay for a month. I would prefer to live here, while he needs to stay in the US for visa purposes. He is also moving to a different city in the US, one I might potentially like more, but where I also don't have friends or know anyone. Yesterday we had a long conversation about our future, and what we are willing or not to give up. I want him to see my country. He has never been here before, and see if he could ever see himself here at least for a while. I also said I would be willing to live in the US while he finishes his visa application and for the next few years. However, the main issue is I wouldn't feel comfortable moving to be with him if we didn't have a bigger commitment, were at least engaged. Living together would cause me a significant problem in my family, and I don't want to uproot my life for someone that isn't that serious about our future. He on the other hand said he would want to see where things go if we move to the new city. What do you think, Reddit? Am I being unreasonable? I love living in my country and being close to my family in the place I grew up in. However, the thought of not having him in my life brings me physical pain. I am also under a lot of pressure to get married since at my age it's where most relationships are headed, and don't want to waste time with someone who doesn't feel the same. This whole situation brings me so much anxiety. I have started therapy. I am really excited to see him, but we have also decided that after his trip we'll make a decision about being together or not. I don't want to give up on love, but it's hard to know when to call it quits. Too long didn't read. I don't want to move to be with my boyfriend if we are not engaged.